What's up, y'all? I am back with part two, body emotions. If you're new here, I'm Shanice. I help moms to heal from their past trauma so they can tap into their purpose, their power, and their full potential. And today we're going to be talking about embodied emotions. Now, I am going to do a whole Zindig. I'm going to do a whole show on your nervous system and your brain. So this is going to be continuous. I'll probably be talking about this for the next couple of months because I want you to understand the power of embodying your emotions, but embodying your emotions is actually connected to your nervous system. Inflammation can make you look fat, but inflammation is also connected. It can be stored in your nervous system. Anxiety can be stored in your nervous system. So if you're someone that have GERD, that is a manifested symptoms that's actually connected to childhood trauma. If you're someone that have digestive issues, IBS, that is connected to childhood trauma, especially if you lived in an environment that you always had to be afraid. Like every time you turned around, somebody was attacking you, someone was yelling at you, someone you was in fear of getting in trouble by making mistakes, whatever the case may be. 9 times out of 10, baby, that is connected to childhood trauma. That is a manifested emotion that had probably been sitting there for years and you never even knew. Another way that it shows up in your body is migraine, stiff necks, lump in your upper back, like right under your blade. When Stiffness in your neck, like right down by your ear, from the top of your ear to the bottom of your neck. It's really, really tight right there. That is connected to your vagus nerve. And when your vagus nerve have been deregulated, then you will have a hard time swallowing. If you have a hard time swallowing, I always feel like you got a gulp in your throat, or you went and you had a scope down your throat, and they tell you like, "Oh, nothing's fine, nothing is there." That's connected to anxiety, but it's also a manifested emotion that's manifesting inside your body, right? That shows that you have an emotion that needs to be processed. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of these are demons that's actually in these areas in your body, and they're able to stay in your body because one, you're not moving your body, you're not exercising, you're not stretching, and for two, your eating habits, and for three, you're not processing the emotion. Okay, but like I said, I'm not here to talk about deliverance. I'm here to talk about inner healing. Okay, which inner healing deliverance go hand in hand. Inner healing, make sure the demon never come back. Deliverance, evict them. So deliverance, evict the demon. Inner healing, make sure it never come back. If you go through a season of deliverance, but you never heal that wound, it can come back. And it can come back 10 times worse, right? Now, we do have seasons that God healed different parts of our heart, different parts of our soul, because He knows what we can handle. God has been trying to heal this one part of me for years, and I kept running from it because there was so much pain in them years of my life. I didn't want to deal with it. So every time I felt like He was putting His finger on it, I began to be busy. But that's how I started realizing that it was time for me. When I find myself being busy, or when I find myself meaningless strolling, or when I find myself dissociating, then what would end up happening is that's because I was running. And busyness felt better than dealing with my pain. Strolling on social media felt better than dealing with my pain. Saying I was busy felt better than dealing with my pain. Okay? Another way it shows up in your body, aches and pain, you have been to the doctor and no trace of diagnosis. Lump in your throat, they call it a gullet sensation, feel like you like that. It feels like that inside your throat. A leaky gut or weak stomach, digestive issues, fragile bones. I mean, you fall, and the minute you fall, your bones break, which is why I said complex trauma breaks down your bones. Now, I want you to understand something. When that pain happened, where do you think the emotion went? If you were someone, which we always lived in a household, that if we spoke up, it was considered disrespect, and we was told to shut up and sit down, right? A lot of people was meant to be heard, seen, and not heard. When I have this saying, and I believe this wholeheartedly. Whatever you do not allow your child to say as a child, when they turn 15, 16, 17, 18, they're going to rip you a new hole. They're going to be very disrespectful, and they're going to say very hurtful things because that inner child never had a voice. So it waits to that child think that they have some balls, or they have grown up a little bit, or they feel like that they're grown and you can't touch them, and they start saying things, they start hitting for your gutlet because right now they feel like you can't hurt them because somewhere you was their first bully. So when they get older, they feel like they have a chance to tell you how they feel. So you will let that child voice their opinion at 5, 6. Give them a sense of voice, right? Let them know that their feelings is valid. Of course, have boundaries. Let them help them to build autonomy, which is give them a free of choice, give them a free will to pick. Now, of course, have it with authority. What do I mean by that? If it's time to go to bed, like yesterday, my son waited till 9 o'clock. It was time to go to bed. All of a sudden, he was hungry, and he wanted to make some French fries. And I politely told him, I said, "No, sir, it's time for you to put your pajamas on, and you can either have a peanut butter jelly sandwich or a turkey sandwich." Now, I still stood my ground, but I allowed him to eat. I still allowed him to eat, but he was not going to eat what he wanted to eat. No, no, sir. You got two options, and that still gave him a free choice. But it also stuck with, baby, it's time to go to bed. You're not to get no. You're not going to turn the FI on 9 o'clock. You knew you was hungry when you sat down on your game. Time, right? So give them a sense of that's building autonomy, like building an autonomy that they're a choice. They know that they have a choice, that they won't be growing up trying to make you be the will behind their decision. Okay? But what happened to those emotions? What happened to that frustration? What happened to that sadness? What happened to that anger? What happened to those emotions that you suppressed, those words that you suppressed? Many people that have that manifested feeling inside their throat, those are unspoken words you never spoke before. And now that you're growing up, it's showing up as IBS, it's showing up as GERD, it's showing up as feeling like something is always in your throat. It's feeling that way because you never had the choice to speak how you really feel. And so now those words is stuck in your throat, right? So what do you think those emotions went? They went in your body. They just sit in your body. And then they turned into other things. They turn into depression. That's why I tell you, you are not depression. You are not anxiety. Those are symptoms. Don't you ever say, I have anxiety. No, I have a symptom of anxiety. And that symptom of, I want you to look at it from this standpoint. If you went to the doctor, right? And they asked you what is your symptoms, and you told them, oh, I'm coughing, I have this, I have that. They will prescribe you medication. When you go to therapy, you give them your symptoms. They do one or two things. They go back to your childhood to see where this started so they can get to the root of the problem. And two, they help you to reframe for you to see it in different perspectives. Now, let's stop here for a second. Reframing, right? It means perspective. It means your viewpoint. It means the way you see the world. If you had a hovering parent and you had a parent that was always anxious and put fear in you, that taught you that the world was not safe, which is make it hard for you to step out confidently in what God have called you to be and do because you never had strong roots. Okay? So it's not that you are fearful. You have a symptom. You don't have confidence in yourself. And since you don't have confidence in yourself, you don't step out and do the things that you want to do. So I don't want you to say I have anxiety. I don't want you to say I'm depressed. I want you to begin to say I have a symptom of depression, which means something is going on. I need to go sit with God and release the spirit to him, and release his fear to him, and release his anxiety to him, and release his worry to him. I don't want you to hide it. I hid my pain too long. I hid my thoughts too long. No, when that come up, give it to God, and that's actually renewing your mind. So when you go to the therapist and tell them your symptoms, they give you a diagnosis. But let me tell you something. That diagnosis is not who you are. It's a symptom of what happened to you. Okay? So the emotion shows up with insecurity, not trusting yourself, not feeling seen and heard, frustration come out, irritation come out, a bad attitude, easily triggered. I can't tell you how many times people told me I was crazy coming up because how I reacted to what they was doing to me. And when I got tired of them doing it to me, or I got tired of them saying stuff to me, it started coming out as disrespect. Well, whole time it was there the whole time. I just never felt safe enough to express it. So people mislabeled you based off of what you said, but it wasn't that what you said, it's what they did to you, and you reacted that way, then they mislabeled you. You are not anxiety. You are not depression. God did not tell you that you was anxious. God did not tell you was depressed. Now, God's not a mean God. If you're dealing with depression, that is a time for you to rest in God. When Elijah dealt with depression, God did not scold him. He told him to rest and he fed him because your journey is long. So if you're having a symptom of anxiety and a symptom of depression, go to God. Let him know that you have this. Now, can most people get on medication? If God tells you get on medication, do it. But if that's not something, because it could be a part of your healing journey. God can use medication a part of your healing journey, but also God can deliver you from something like that. But if he's telling you to therapy to be a part of your healing journey, if he's telling you to take medication for a part of your healing journey, that don't mean that's who you are. It's just a part of your healing journey. That's it. Because he's restoring you back to who you were before trauma happened to you. So the next time you see somebody, their emotions is erratical, don't say what's wrong with you, say what happened to you. That's important. Okay. So on the flip side, these things they show up in your body, right? Um, so so your emotions turned into depression, anxiety, not trusting yourself, insecurity, low self-esteem, bad attitude, being mislabeled. It turned into that, but it didn't start off like that. It turned into bitterness. It turned into resentment. It turned to unforgiveness because you never spoke of it. Okay. So once again, I have a test on complex trauma, and you could take it down below so you can see what is it, how is complex trauma showing up in your body, and if you are needing help, we can create a plan for you. Now, I said in the last episode, complex trauma is a metabolic, and is metabolic, and it changes the brain chemistry and your body temperature, and it releases hormones, which is cortisols, and it pumps in your body, and it causes an imbalance in your body, an imbalance in your hormones, an imbalance in your brain, and it will eventually lead to sickness. That can be long-term sickness. It could be diabetes. It could be pretension, not pretension, but insulin resistance. They tell you, you know what I'm saying, you might have, they might tell you like you're pre-diabetic. No, insulin resistance because of the high cortisol. So it's pumping in your body. I want you to understand, when I first left my kid's father, now this is not my revelations. I got this from a narcissist. He's a self-aware narcissist, and he help other women heal there to leave narcissist men, but also to help other narcissists become aware that they are narcissists. And he said, even if you're someone that was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, that is a symptom. That is a symptom. And God can heal it. Scientists say or therapists say it can't be healed. God can heal all things. Okay? God did not call our personality disorder. He did not call our identity disorder. When people say it's disorder, you speak order. You command order over your brain, order over your identity, order over your personality. Okay? But I want to say this and I'm going to get off. He said that, do you know when a person get out of relationship with a narcissist, that they have so much cortisol pumping in their body that they can put it inside three people and they will still have too much cortisol pumping in their body. That's how much cortisol can be pumping in your body when you have lived in hypervigilance for so long. And only people with complex trauma have a high tolerance of a high prescription of cortisol pumping in their body. So I want to ask you this question and I'm going to end. What emotions have you suppressed that are now being or are now showing up in your body and you're having an embodied emotion? If this sounds like you and you need help, take the complex question and book your call today so we can create a plan so you can show up in the world and in this year in a different way that you have never showed up. Attaining reflection will no longer be who you are. You will not no longer walk in anxiety, depression, identity distortion disorder. You will no longer walk in bipolarism. You will no longer walk in these things because God is bringing healing to your soul and deliverance to your mind. I love you because I can. See you later.